Hello and welcome to another video. I am so excited to be back and I'm excited to be on your screens giving you the latest in tech news. And if you've been watching and following along with this channel for the past couple of months or so, I think you would notice a pattern in what we do here on our channel. So mainly we cover Apple news, as most people have complained in the past. I know a friend of mine complained to me saying, why don't you cover Windows 11 like how you cover Mac? Why don't you cover the Pixel? Why don't you cover the Samsung? And to be honest with you, I'm a fan of Apple. And because I'm a fan of Apple, I tend to be a bit biased in, my comments and my reviews. So I'd rather just stick with reviewing Apple. If I have anything good to say, I'll say it about Apple. If I have anything bad to say, I'll say it about Apple. I don't like to mix and match. Although, for the record, I do have a Samsung phone as well. I do have a Samsung Note 8. So I do have, I'd say, a bit of both worlds with the Samsung as well as the iPhone that I have. But, for the record of this video, my preference will always remain the iPhone. So if you've been paying attention to that, you realize. So what news do I have today? What news do I exactly have today? So we recently had an event, the Apple Live event. This particular event did not have a special theme like all the other events in the past. So it was just the Apple Live event. And the main announcements were the the iPad mini, that's the right one. Apple Watch Series 7, right? Yeah, Apple Watch Series 7. And A15 Bionic chip, if we can count that as an announcement. That's pretty much it. Oh, how can I forget? The iPhones. So this year we have brand new old iPhones. Brand new old iPhones. You get what I'm saying? So it's the same iPhone we've grown to love and appreciate in the same but different form factor. It's odd, I know. So we have a new generation of iPhones, the iPhone 13s, iPhone 13 mini, iPhone 13, iPhone 13 Pro, iPhone 13 Pro Max. I'm sure if you followed along in that particular live event, you would have seen all the models and all the new colors. And I won't dwell on the models or on the colors or whatever the case may be. What I want to talk about is what interested me in this particular live event. So the new announcement of the iPhones was a big one, and we expected a new form factor, sort of, from the leaks that we got from social media and other reliable sources. So one of the sources mentioned that the notch, which is this part of the phone right here, would get a bit smaller. And yes, that was true. That leak was true. They did shrink the notch a bit, and they said actually it's about a 20% decrease in the notch. So you have 20% more screen real estate because they simply moved the speaker piece right here up to the top bezel. So makes sense. Shrink the notch, give you more room for your screen. They did nothing else at the top except that. They just moved the earpiece up and shrunk the notch. They did not include, as I would have expected, if you're going to shrink the notch, then include a bit of stuff up there. I mean, why create space if you're not going to use it? I was hoping to see maybe the battery percentage coming back. That did not happen, but it is what it is. I'm pretty sure they can update that with a software update, but we'll see as it comes along. What I was excited about as well, today I recently saw that I could update to iOS 15, which I did. In a later video, you should subscribe to the channel. I will show you the benchmark test that I did. So I want to show you the results of the Antutu benchmark test. So the difference in performance between iOS 14.8, which was the last update that I updated to in iOS 14 on my iPhone X, and iOS 15 that comes with the lineup of iPhone 13s. So I want to show you the difference in performance in that as I did the Antutu benchmark test, and you'll see for yourself the differences in performance. What I have noticed though, and what I can tell you, is I've noticed a difference in performance speed. So the phone has become reasonably faster. I wouldn't say it's a drastic change, but it is a change nonetheless. So I'm going to be on the lookout as I continue to test it during the course of the weeks, and I'll come back with the results of the benchmark test. Okay, so moving on to the next thing about the iPhones, right? So I was really hoping, I was seriously hoping that we'd have some new features in the camera, because I mean, iPhone has been recycling the same old features ever since the revolution of portrait mode back with the iPhone 7 Plus, and it has never changed since then. So I was hoping for something different, knowing that Apple has the potential to produce some phenomenal computational photography software. I was hoping for something different this year, and boy, oh boy, did we get some great stuff. I'll start here at the top of my list. My favorite part, cinematic mode. Cinematic mode allows you to become a fully fledged cinematographer. So what do you do with cinematic mode? It's your point and shoot camera on your iPhone. But the features that it has now is what I'd like to simply call portrait video. So what you're able to do with cinematic mode is simply point and shoot at a subject, and it blurs the background in the video. And if that subject needs to be off focus, you simply turn away. Say, I'm shooting you or you're shooting me, whichever way we choose to do it, and I'm the main subject in the frame. You point your camera at me and it will automatically focus on me because I'm looking at the camera. As soon as I turn away, the focus will move from me and go to the background. So the foreground is no longer in focus. So the subject is no longer in focus. The background is now in focus as soon as you turn your head and you are no longer focusing on the camera. So cinematic mode, revolutionary stuff. I've seen some review videos of late from Marquez, Mr. Who's the Boss. They had a couple of comments about, the edges. I mean, it's still pretty early stages. This is the first generation of this new feature on the iPhone's camera system. So I'm expecting those hiccups, those flaws. With every generation, there are going to be improvements, but I'm so happy to have something new on the iPhone camera. What was the next thing? Photographic styles. Photographic styles. When I heard about this, I was like, wow, I've been waiting my whole life to find something like this. Dedicated to snow. To find someone like you.
Waiting my whole life to find someone like you. Find someone like you.
Yeah, but I've been waiting for something like this for quite some time. There are a lot of new features that are great in the cameras, in the camera department, as opposed to, cinematic mode and photographic styles. There is sensor shift, there is bigger sensors, wider apertures, so those are all good. Obviously, especially for the lenses such as the ultra wide, where you'd find that you'd have a bit of noise here and there, especially in low light conditions. So a wider aperture will allow more light to come in, giving you better pictures, brighter pictures, less noise, better resolution, dare I say it. Definitely for the ultra wide that would work. I mean, Apple still caps their resolution at 12 megapixels, so I don't see a big jump in resolution in pictures unless they decide to change their sensors, maybe just bump it up a bit to maybe, let's say, 30 megapixel, 40 megapixels. You got to remember that the reason why the iPhone doesn't shoot in 8K like all the other bleeding edge flagships is because you gotta have at least 30 megapixels, 33 megapixels per frame. in order to get there. But that's not the point of this video. The next thing that I was excited about, probably one of the last things, is the Super Retina XDR displays that are in the new iPhones. So the iPhone 13's cap at what? 800 nits of brightness. So way brighter than this phone that I have right in front of me right here, which gets bright as well, pretty bright. They cap at 800 nits. Those are for the base model 13s. And then for the 13 Pros, you go up to 1,000 nits of brightness. So 1,000 nits of brightness, whereas here you cap at 625 nits of brightness, which also happens to be what the old base model iPhones were. The iPhone 12s capped at 625. That's great. But what is better than great is ProMotion coming to iPhone with 120 hertz display. So this is a variable 120 hertz display, meaning that the phone will adjust the refresh rate based on your touch sample. So based on how you scroll, it will adjust how fast the response is. So that's basically your touch sample rate. So ProMotion is coming to the iPhone 13 lineup. So how does this work? So this basically varies anywhere from 10 hertz to 120 hertz. So based on how aggressive you are with your scrolling, it will then assess that and adjust the refresh rates to that. So it will assess how aggressive you are or how fast you're scrolling, and then we'll adjust the refresh rate to that. So I'm going to be on the lookout for many of these things, hoping to test the iPhone 13s and the iPhone 13 Pros as soon as we get them in South Africa, because we're still waiting. And I'll let you know of my findings.